Hey guys, welcome to Chaotic Stupid Gaming. We're here with another 40K podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Tony.
Today we're going to be talking about the AdeptiCon releases. Recently at the tournament in Chicago, Games Workshop had a talk, and they talked about the direction for 8th edition and the new rules, and we're going to be going over them and seeing what we like. Tony, what do you, overall thoughts about the releases? You think we're going in a good direction or not?
Overall, I'm pretty excited. It seems like they're finally listening to the community. I think that everything they touched on has been pretty big community complaints. Save for one or two things that I think sort of came out of nowhere. I'm a little apprehensive about, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that GW's going in a good direction, though, so I think I trust them.
Yeah, like the new stuff with the new General's Handbook and Age of Sigmar, where they're actually crowdsourcing different types of rules, seeing how people play the game, and seeing what they did. So I think that's a good sign for the new GW and a good sign for
All right.
8th edition. All right, into specific things. The first thing that they talked about were command points. This is going to be an overall symptom, I think, of a restructuring of how we do detachments, how we do basically list building. They said that they're going to be rewards for building your list a certain way. You can kind of see this in Age of Sigmar. I know you don't really play Age of Sigmar, but I played a lot of Age of Sigmar, and there are fluff-centered lists where you get a special buff for taking certain types of lists.
Mm-hmm. Or a buff for taking only one.
Yeah. Well, that's a little different.
Thing.
Yeah. But that's basically the same thing. If your army is comprised of only this faction,
entirely one faction,
yeah, you get all these special bonus. And this is also changing with the new Stormcast. You get a litany of special things. All your heroes get special powers, and that's only if you take only Stormcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we might see something like that. But they specifically said they wanted something like a resource that you spend, and that would be these command points. That's what I'm thinking of.
Hence the command
points.
They
said, special. They said special army special rules and rerolls were the two things they mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's a good idea?
I don't know. It's definitely. I think it's uncharted territory for 40K.
Yeah.
There's a handful of other mini war games that do this sort of thing. Like Blood Bowl, for example, they have their once a game rerolls or handful of time.
Yeah, you have
re-rolls.
Points that you spend on different upgrades you spend.
You do. I don't know. It's just there's not a lot of information out on it yet. I don't think it can be that bad, honestly. I think that it's a good idea to try and encourage fluffy lists.
Yeah,
because that's
what we're playing the game for.
Yeah,
we're playing the game to role play.
Yeah. The lore is good.
Yeah,
people just ignore it.
Yeah. So let's do some theorizing of how you think this could work, because I know we've talked about this a lot off camera.
We have.
But see, what I was thinking is it'd be something like a way that you take certain formations or things like that, and you get command points.
It could be that, for sure. I think the issue maybe there is that goes to buff formations even more, though they have said that they're going to give formations points, which is a great thing. It's great in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
That being said, it could be a direction they go. Mm-hmm. Other than that, like we said before, if you take an army comprised entirely of one faction, and that's not just Imperium and Mankind faction either, that's like Ultramarines, the whole army, or Imperial Guard, the whole army. Maybe you could get command points for that. They could come from multiple sources, and you could get one for this and one for that, possibly.
How far do you think they'll go? Because what I was thinking is that, are they going to make all of the army special rules we see now things that are only buyable? Things like, and they shall know no fear, giving that to someone. You have to spend command points to give that to your army.
Maybe not, and they shall know no fear, because that's sort of a Space Marine special thing. But maybe chapter tactics. Chapter tactics,
yeah,
possibly.
Okay, I could see that, yeah.
Or combat doctrines.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe there might be. I think it'll be. I think they'll remain with, your army will still have chapter tactics.
Right.
But maybe you'll get another use of this once a game thing.
Okay.
Something like that. Or or maybe for some of the Xenos army, you might get another Soul Burst use.
Okay, yeah.
For Aldari, or if you're Tau, you can place 3 marker lights for one command point. I don't know. Okay. We were sort of talking. We didn't know how granular they were going to get with command points. It seems like a thing that you'll get 5 of, maybe 3 of.
Okay.
You were saying maybe it'll be you have 500 and things will be worth 25 points. That's possible.
That's what I was thinking, because I was thinking of a specific reroll, like 1 dice reroll, and that would mean that the scale would have to be a lot larger.
But I think that it'll be more like you reroll an entire shooting.
Okay.
Because it just seems to me like that would be a lot of bookkeeping that they want to add to the game, and they have said that they want to streamline it. I don't know if these rumors necessarily agree with their stated goal overall, but maybe.
Yeah, I think what they meant was like these are the where they were trying to get across was like things are changing, so they could streamline other parts of the game that were just like. I mean, really, honestly, I know you said this before, but the core rules are not what makes the game overly complicated.
Yeah. It's every army's individual special rules.
Yeah, exactly.
On top of formations,
the multitude of books that require.
Yeah, I play Tau.
Yeah,
I have to bring 3 books.
Yeah.
To
do the things
to do a 1850 CAD.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets a little ridiculous.
And I know Imperium players, it's just an order of magnitude and that, and same for Chaos.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I have 5 books. I use 1 page out of these 3, and
so I think like revamping something like the Age of Sigmar app could help that.
Yeah, well, they will have the General's Handbook.
Yeah, they will have
because and they're going to have to release new data sheets for basically every model because they have said they're going to go to a movement stat, go back to a movement stat.
Speaking of that, let's move on to that. Like in Age of Sigmar and like earlier 40k, each individual unit will have their own statistic for moving. So like 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense. They cut it out of the game to make the game more streamlined.
It's true.
Funny enough. So do you think that this signals a move away from their original idea of 8th Edition of streamlining it, or it's just like it's a natural thing they can do now? With like free data slates, do you think it's a thing that can now be done?
I think honestly, I think the best way that they could streamline the game to make it go much faster is if they had Age of Sigmar style war scrolls.
Yeah, war
scrolls where you have every special rule written out for each individual unit and all their weapons and everything all on 1 page.
Yeah.
Where it's not, oh, okay, this has this gun. That is on page 82 in the book. Let me flip there. Okay, that has this special rule, which is on page... All right, let me flip there. If they could really help streamline the game, in my opinion, by just...
I don't think that's possible, though, because in Age of Sigmar, and one of my gripes with it is that there's not a lot of customization with your units.
That is true.
In 40k, there's a lot of customization you can do, and I don't want them to take away the customization I can do with each individual unit. Like, I want a unit to be like a Meltagun guy, and I want him to also be able to have like a power sword if I want to. You can't do that in Age of Sigmar. You can't have a completely different unit than your opponent has.
They could list several weapens on each individual, but
right.
I think that might busy it up, and I don't know. Right. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
I doubt they're gonna do like a full world scroll. It's gonna be.
You're probably right.
But movement phase.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Movement.
Yeah.
I like the idea of having different units move at different speeds. Doesn't make a lot of sense that the guardsmen keep up with the space. Or an Eldar. Moves at the same speed as a Necron.
Or like a Gene Stealer moves at the same speed as
a Tau. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and they've already signaled they are okay with different move values with like Doomstrider and things like that.
Oh yeah. They've already went to that.
All right, let's talk about shooting phase.
The shooting phase, the big thing.
Armor save modifiers.
Yeah. Rending. Yeah. Not rending in 40k, mind you. Rending in Age of Sigmar, where instead of having like AP 5, you might have -1 to their armor value, or maybe -2. We don't quite know how it is.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I do too. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It will substantially buff the shooting across the board.
Right.
Things are going to die a lot faster.
Yeah.
A lot faster.
It's going to get pretty crazy. Because, like, most things will have rending. And we'll get onto this later when we talk about Shadow War. But when we'll talk about, like, some of the specific things. Like, a bolt gun has -1 rending. So, like, almost everything.
Almost
so what we're saying is, like, exactly. Well, we're having, like, a baseline of... In Age of Sigmar, rending is not rare, but it's not something that almost every attack has.
That's true.
So... In 40k, I think we'll have whole armies that have all rend. Like, everything in the army has a rending weapon.
Oh, yeah. You thought people hated Tau's shooting phase before.
Yeah, exactly.
Just wait till you're eating those strength 5 -2 rend pulse rifle shots.
So, yeah, I think it'll make... it'll change the way armor saves work and everything like that.
So, on top of armor saves, they're also and we were talking about this earlier,
Yeah.
cover saves.
Yeah.
We think that they might move it to affecting the shooter's ballistic skill instead, because if not, having a cover save will just be infinitely better than an armor save if there's no way to strip it off a point at a time.
Yeah.
Which
I
think
like
makes
this.
a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense. And I was saying it'll actually make you play creatively and play tactically with like
you have
things
to acknowledge the terrain if you're a space marine.
Right, exactly. Not or just like running up if you have like a Terminator. Terminator can still use cover. It's like makes sense. So this will make the game not that much more complicated, I think. I don't know. Yeah.
It'll just be, hey, I'm BS4.
Right.
Alright, you're in cover.
I think
That's
after
a -1.
Alright, like
so
3 games, most people have memorized.
Yeah, he'll do it quick.
That I need 4s to hit with this, 3s to hit with that. So like adding 1 and 2,
it's really not much.
It's not that much.
Yeah. I mean, every time you roll, hey, I'm looking for 4s.
Yeah, exactly.
You say it anyway.
Yeah.
It'll just be an easy little addition there.
Now let's move on to the assault phase. The only thing they really said about the assault phase is they want charging units to go first, and I have this kind of gripe with Shadow War as well, that I don't think initiative matters. So unless they like introduce new things to do with initiative, I don't really, and that's not really what they want to do, is introduce more levels of complicatedness to the game.
I don't think it's going to be strictly if you charge first, you get all of your attacks first.
Right.
There's way too many things that roll into like, okay, well then how does Unwieldy work? Do you just go last no matter what? How does Hammer of Wrath work into that? Like, does that also hit? I think that it makes a lot of sense how we were saying when you charge, you get a bonus attack.
Right.
The attack first could just be that bonus attack.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea.
I think that'd be fair.
Yeah. That'd be fair.
It wouldn't like break the game by any means.
Oh no.
And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You charge first, you take a swing as soon as you can.
Yeah, and then you guys get into the combat.
Yeah, and then you guys get it. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this is probably the change that that feels like most lackluster. Not because I don't really like the change, but because it doesn't reveal too much about the state of the game. I think what I wanted them to hear or wanted them to do was like move to a like revamp turn order, is what I think a lot of people said. And what I like about Age of Sigmar in terms of how combat works off trading off armies that are in combat, and you know, you don't
close
really,
combat phase where I pick a unit to go because this is my turn, so I pick a unit to go first, and they do all their attacks.
Yeah, and
then you pick a unit, go back and forth until we out of units.
But it's obvious they don't want to do that because they still have a who's going first, a mechanic.
The initiative system.
Yeah.
And then again, Unwieldy is a whole nother how does this work?
So, not too sure. They didn't reveal too much about what the state of the assault phase is going to be.
It's just the assault phase is it's pretty difficult to sort of balance around and make work, I think, in 40k, just because every army's got shooting.
Yeah.
And if you build your army around shooting and the opponent built their army around assault, you're going to get probably 2 turns of shooting before they get into assault.
I mean, if you like have a good way, if you have a good strategy, a cheese probably,
Skyhammer,
in order to get into the charge before they can shoot at you, then that's your thing.
That is your thing. That's
so
true.
Yeah, what I was saying earlier is like you got to be tough and you got to be agile, and I think that's like adds a nice dynamic into the game. I just don't think there's a lot of ways to like get that without feeling dirty or like
without it feeling too powerful. It's very all or nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very like, if I get into assault, I'm going to win this game because I'm objectively superior in assault to everything that he has.
Yeah, I always feel like I'm doing more damage when I like have an assault army. Like,
it
feels better. I think, but again, it's like in order to like make my list competitive, I have to do some things that like I don't feel like I should do because it's not like a lore friendly list.
Feels
it's
too
good. That feels too good. It doesn't feel like it feels like I'm like looking at the rules like how do I use this rather than just playing the game how I want to play the game and having the rules support that. I don't think the rules support that. In order to like make a viable assault list, you have to look at the rules and like how can I cheat this or like how can I
must take bikes.
Right, exactly.
Because I must be able to move 12 inches every turn. Or by turn 2.5.
So I just feel like I assume there's going to be more changes to the Assault phase, how things work.
Mm-hmm. They could go back to the old method of once you can consolidate into other units. Yeah. Possibly.
I don't know. I just feel like all of my methods are making the game more complicated, and I'm obviously like. They probably have smarter rules writers working, so I hope they have smarter rules writers working on this.
Random we come up with,
right?
You would hope.
Yeah, that would be able to revamp the Assault phase without making it.
People give GW a lot of flack, but honestly, they're not that bad.
Yeah, you hear that, guys, in the Bell Lost Souls comments. GW's not that bad.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about morale.
Yeah, morale.
This is the change I'm most excited about, and the change I can most wrap my head around, because it seems real simple to do what worked in Age of Sigmar, Battle Shock. If you don't know what that is, at the end you take a leadership test, and you lose models based on how much you fail.
Yeah. It's really straightforward. It's really easy to use.
Yeah.
It's meaningful to the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's not a lot of sources of not taking Battle Shock tests or auto-passing them, like a Fearless equivalent.
Right.
And they did want to say that they either wanted to like heavily change Fearless or remove it.
Yeah.
I could see them heavily changing it, but
I don't
still
think about removing it.
No, they're not going to outright remove it. There's too many armies.
I hope not.
That it doesn't make sense that such and such would, like, why would they care about casualties? They're brainless killing machines or whatever.
Yeah.
There's too much of that in the game.
Right.
I could definitely see like changing it a little maybe.
Obviously, if they change the way leadership works.
Yeah. It would be very good if they made that stat matter.
I think it's just right now in the game it's too variable.
Mm-hmm.
Either like it's just luck of the draw. It seems like sometimes whether like, and it's not like a strategy I can play around. In Age of Sigmar, I can play around, whittling down someone, then moving my attention because I'm pretty sure he's going to fail this Battle Shock test. It's like a assured thing that you're going to lose. It's like you can work out the statistics of like how many models how much damage you can do.
Because for every model they had to take off, that's a -1.
Right, that's a minus certain percentage. Yeah, based on like
so you're more certain.
Yeah,
and it's not an all or nothing. It's
right.
It's morale is just so swingy in 40k. It's if I fail this, you are going to most likely overrun me and kill this entire unit. But if I pass,
it's like nothing ever happened.
There's way too much contingent on a single, very random roll.
Right, exactly.
And with like higher leadership, it just becomes so like, oh, that was just bad luck. And you failed on leadership 9.
Exactly. Like Celestine not coming back.
Yeah, it's just
happens way too many times. Okay.
It happens a statistically average amount of times. Trust me.
Not for me.
I'm sure. And your opponents are like, man, that Celestine, she never stays down.
Exactly.
It's called confirmation bias, Ben.
All right.
Okay. Confirmation bias, kids.
So yeah, this
what happened to you?
Battle Shock, I think, makes it a more like it's like actually something that does damage. It's something you can plan around, make a strategy around. It makes it an influential decision how you build your army and how you play your army.
I would have to agree. I think it'd be a great addition to 40k.
Yep. And it's easiest to wrap my head around because it's already been done and it works perfectly, I think.
Yep. And it honestly, you could drop it right into 40k.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about summoning.
Yeah, summoning.
So
they want to go to the Age of Sigmar model.
Yeah.
Again.
This is the one that I'm not so much feeling lackluster of, that I just don't like. I don't think in like competitive, like in Age of Sigmar, it's way too. It's like either one way or another. In open play, it's ridiculous.
Well, open play is just broken in general.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you can still like have a fun.
You can still have a balanced fun.
I don't know about balance, but like you can still have a fun game. Like you can still like.
But then when someone brings summoning,
someone has Seraphon, and they like everyone has summoning and Seraphon, they can just like, if they wanted to, they can just be like, I bring up all these models and
they're all back.
Yeah, and they're all back. And it's not like in 40k where you have to like build a list around summoning. It's just something that happens in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
So it was critical that they had a matched play where
like balance mechanic.
Balance mechanic where you had to take the points.
And it also in Age of Sigmar, it also sort of doubles as deep striking a little bit.
And it is basically deep strike, but it's it's a variable as well. It's a kind of random roll. Yeah, 2d6. You have to. It's statistically probable. Most of them are level 7, so 50% of the time you're failing to summon something.
Yeah. So they have said they want to go towards paying points for anything that you want to summon in.
Right. And I just either think it's. I hope they make it a better version of deep striking. I hope they
might buff it.
I hope they make it. Yeah, I hope they make it easy to summon if they make
that would make sense.
If they make points value, because I feel like in Age of Sigmar it's too hard. It's not worth it. Like the 50% chance fail rate is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If that's like what you're trying to do, if like your point value of your army is sitting off in reserves,
you'd have to ask yourself, why would I take these in summoning?
Right. Exactly.
When I can just put them on the table.
Same thing with like
deep strike.
Same thing with deep striking. Yeah. So if they make it like insanely easy, like,
or maybe like if they all die, they can get summoned again.
Right, yeah.
Some sort of mechanic.
Yeah.
I think it is important that they add some kind of a points cost to it, because there are certain times where it's like, I've summoned 500 more points.
That's a little ridiculous.
I ended the game with more points than I began the game
it's like
with.
you just win the game just because of like free points. It's the problem with like Demi Company, problem with like War Convocation.
Free points is just like...
Yeah, so it's nice that they would do something. I just want them to change, because summoning is obviously a thing they want in the game. They want summoning to be like something that happens that's cool. Like like
it's in the lore.
Like the guy like bringing demons from the warp. That's awesome.
It's a little goofy.
Yeah,
that, like guardsmen can do it.
Yeah, okay, maybe like changing that.
It's a little strange.
Well, they're obviously like reducing, because pink horrors can no longer have like summoning cheese the way like, they work now. So yeah, it's the change I'm like most apprehensive about. But like if they change the way summoning works,
I mean,
I think it could be nice.
Yeah, if they hit it with the nerf bat too hard, just no one's going to use it ever.
And I don't want that. I want summoning to be in the game.
It would be nice if every playstyle was viable.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't know if GW is that good.
Yeah, let's talk about the allegiance chart.
The allies.
This is one of the first things that got like dropped probably like 2 years ago. People were talking about this is what needs to change in 8th edition.
The allies chart.
And they've made it a little bit better, but like because like back in the day it was just like it was because of the like the Death Star you would take with all of the different Space Marine characters. Like you're like, oh, there's the Space Wolf guy, there's the Blood Angels guy, and that's kind of died down.
We have every special rule in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Super Friends has kind of like died down as a strategy, so it's not like,
well, they lost all their chapter.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was a big part of it. But
so
it's to,
but
like,
it still is like an important thing to read.
It is.
Yeah.
Xeno's allying with Taudar needs to just go away.
Yeah.
It's just a ridiculous, non-fluffy list. It's terrible. You shouldn't be able to take Inquisitors with like daemons or like there are just certain ridiculous things that just shouldn't be in the game, honestly.
Yeah.
It might like bum out narrative players a little bit, but narrative players don't necessarily care that much about following the rules.
Yeah, and
anyway.
What I was talking about is that they could do a little bit more work on how
sort of like a Castilians of the Imperium.
Right, yeah, exactly. Or like the formations that were released. Yeah. Where you could take Sisters and Templar in a formation.
Multiple in a single formation. Exactly. They could do something like that.
Yeah.
All
right, so now we're going to talk about Shadow War Armageddon. It's the new release for 40K. It is
a box game.
Yeah, it's a box game. It is basically Mordheim, reskinned.
Mordheim, Kill Team. That is
Necromunda. Necromunda is the word.
It is Necromunda, which is just Mordheim, but in 40K, and vice versa.
Yeah.
The rules are very similar to the Heralds of Ruin Kill Team, if you have ever played that.
Because it was based off of
Necromunda. Because, again, Heralds of Ruin was based off of Mordheim, which was based off Necromunda, and this is just a rip-off of that.
Basically, you take small squad versus squad combat, and each squad member is like a unique guy. He gets upgrades, he gets cool weapons, all this stuff.
They're all tracked individually. You buy individual weapons for each model.
And and there's like interesting missions, cool, like deep, like
it's very much meant to be played in a campaign.
Right, exactly.
Like that. It seems like that's by far the best way to play it.
Yeah, exactly.
The rulebook that it comes with is actually like it's like a rulebook.
It's substantial. Yeah,
it's not like a Kill Team pamphlet.
It comes with it comes with like all of the rules for how literally you could have never played 40K and you could
pick this up and play it. I think it's good that GW's introducing more ways for new players to get into the game.
And it's also like very small startup costs because you only need you need like maybe like 7 scouts or Space Marine scouts or like.
Well, it all comes in the box set.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You get
and the orcs as well,
and you get some terrain.
Yep.
And the train looks great.
The train looks awesome, and they're releasing the train separately, which I'm pretty excited about.
Afterwards, which is pretty great.
Yeah. So basically, it it takes all the Heralds of Ruin things, like how you move through cover, like,
half distance,
half
cover.
distance, like injury tables, things like that. So if you get wounded, that's not the model taken off the field. There's a chance they could be just like stunned or something like that.
Yeah, they go down, and then you figure out if they die later on, they can get back up. They could have like temporary status effects.
Yeah.
Some of the changes are. It's rumored that this is sort of going to be a template for 8th edition.
Yeah,
it is released pretty close to 8th edition, and it makes sense. It did introduce the movement,
right?
stat.
Yeah, so I was like saying we could already see that there's certain aspects,
things, and also the rending is also in this,
and cover save modifiers,
modifying ballistic skill instead of like being a save,
being a different save.
So I think there's a lot to be gleaned from that.
Yeah. So we can go over all the specifics about it. But all in all, it looks like a pretty fun release. Definitely be playing this for the foreseeable future.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like a lot of fun. Yeah. Like some actual progression to it. Looks pretty good. Okay, so first off, we can talk about the changes to the movement in this game. In Shadow War, you move... You do all of your every movement in the same one. So that includes charging, that includes regular moves, and that includes your compulsory moves, like falling back. Falling back isn't just to your table edge, it's to the nearest cover.
It's a little different, yeah. Your guy will loses nerve, and he'll be like, I'm going to go and hide real quick and cower, and then I'll be back, guys. I'll be right back. Yeah. I'm going to go pull an up him.
Yeah, you can't shoot, and you go, basically.
But it'll be fine. I'll be right back.
just you guys go ahead, complete the mission. I'll stay here.
It'll be fine.
Also there's like different ways that you move through terrain, which I think is interesting. I know you are a big fan of this.
Yes.
I know everyone is a big fan of this. We were actually just talking to a guy who plays War Machine the other day, and he says when he tries to describe moving through cover in 40k, people are like, oh, that's why I'll never play 40k, because just the randomness of rolling a dice.
It's just nonsense. All right, so I'm 4 inches away from this piece of cover. All right, so 2d6 to see how far I can move. Oh, 3. I don't even make it to the cover.
Exactly.
It makes so much more sense to move
ridiculous.
4 inches.
Yeah.
I mean, currently you can move 6, right?
Yeah.
So you move in the way that it works in Shadow War is you would move 4 inches, and then moving through difficult cover is twice the amount of movement.
Right.
So then you can move 1 inch into it.
1 inch is worth
2 inches.
Yeah, 2 inches.
And then there's also the more built up cover.
Right. Yeah. There's 2 different there's 3 different levels.
There's 3 different levels of cover.
Yeah. So there's like
light cover.
Light cover, which is 1 inch is 2 inch.
Yeah, which is times 2.
Another one is 1 inch is 4 inches.
Yeah.
Then there's another one that's just impassable.
Yeah, and that's just impassable terrain like in 40k.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll I don't think they're gonna have light and heavy cover necessarily.
I don't know. I think as like a forest being light and then like ruins being heavy.
Possibly.
Maybe not 1 inch equals 4 inches. That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Moving moving
but
through
I think it would
ruins
be great
ridiculous.
if they just said, all right, half.
Yeah, exactly.
How many times have you been like, did you roll that and move through cover?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember.
It is the worst.
It's a terrible rule that is just, it adds so much time to the game.
Yeah.
And makes the game so much more inconsistent.
Inconsistent and just not fun. It's not a fun rule.
No, it's not. It's a garbage rule. It's garbage.
Yeah. I'm so glad they're changing it.
And then sort of how they would change move through cover would be, you just ignore that.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's so easy to use in Heralds of Ruin. It's incredibly easy.
And then charging is changed. It's no longer...
you do it in the movement
Again, it's no longer a variable, which... Again, explain to the War Machine people, you could be 6 inches away from someone, roll your dice, and not even move.
Not move at all.
And
it's double your move distance.
Yeah, exactly.
In Shadow War.
In Shadow War, so that's much more consistent.
It's much more consistent.
You know when you're going to be able to get to the charge. You know
your opponent still gets to shoot at you. It's not called Overwatch. Overwatch is a little different now, but
it's pretty. Yeah, so it's looks like it's going to be a nice change. I don't know if they'll. This is one I'm not sure they'll bring into 40k.
Yeah, but there's just so many mechanics that are tied into re-rolling charge distance or modifying it. I think the amount of overhaul they're gonna do.
Re-rolling charge distances, they could be like you add 3 inches or something like that.
Possibly,
that's what happened in Age of Sigmar. Most of the stuff that like makes you better at charging is just adding extra.
You just add distance.
Yeah,
I could see that.
But you still in Age of Sigmar you still roll 2d6. So it's the same mechanic. I do think they'll bring in the change to 40k where you roll 2d6. Like, all you have to be is within 12 inches of a unit you can charge. You don't have to declare a charge against a certain unit, and you roll 2d6. And you can, if you only roll like 4 inches, you can charge the unit that's 4 inches rather than another.
You closer,
right,
which
exactly.
It would help assault armies a lot.
Yeah,
because then when they finally get around to their next turn after that whole enemy round, then they can continue.
And you like
then they have the charge.
It's still balanced because
it feels better.
It's an extra movement, sure. That seems like crazy, but you also get to fire at them as they're moving.
Yeah,
so
it's not. It would not be unbalanced.
It would not be unbalanced.
I don't think it would.
Yeah, but we don't know. Again, they don't want to make the game more complicated.
They don't.
So.
I don't think that's more complicated necessarily, though.
That's true. Next thing is guns have different range values.
Yeah, the short and long range.
Yeah, so
it's about half.
What makes me think about is like playing an RPG like Pathfinder or something like that, where you have different ranges for your weapons. It makes it kind of
This
cool.
is kind of in 40k already with rapid fire a little bit and salvo kind of.
Exactly. Yeah, not salvo.
No,
like
salvo's different, but with the different ranges.
Yeah,
I mean,
basically with rapid fire. And I know there's some Tau shenanigans that like changes based on how far you're away.
Storm of Fire, and sort of the Kaji Fireblade special ability.
Yeah,
there's a few things to modify it.
So this is a possible introduction to 40k. I don't think
it would add a lot of
it would make it so complicated. But it is a cool thing in the game.
Yeah, it's appropriate for the size of the game.
Yeah, for Armageddon.
I definitely think so.
So like a bolt gun has 0 to 12 inches range,
and that's short.
You don't get a modifier. If you try to hit something 12 inches to 24 inches away, you have a -1 modifier to your
because that's far away.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like a pulse rifle.
Yeah,
it has a plus to that longer distance.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. We already talked about this a little bit earlier in the video, but cover modifiers make an appearance here. They didn't make an appearance at AdeptiCon, but we are pretty sure it's going to make an appearance in the new 8th edition.
I'm willing to state this very bold claim here on the Chaotic Super Gaming Podcast. There's a 100% chance this is going to be in 8th edition.
100% chance.
We're going to call this idle speculation.
Yeah.
But it just... If they're going to introduce a rending mechanic, like they said they're going to do, and is in Shadow War, Armageddon, it makes sense to have cover be something besides a save.
Right.
Because then cover would simply be much better than an armor save.
Yeah, exactly. And it still is like... It still makes it more important in 40k, I think, because a lot of times
it makes cover so much more important.
A lot of times you're just like tactically thinking about my armor save is always gonna be better than my cover save.
Like he has like 3 AP3 things. I don't really care that much. Yeah. Why would I risk my 2d6 move through cover?
Right, exactly. So it'll make you actually have to move space tactically around cover with your space marines, and it makes sense that that you would still want to be in cover if it's possible that your enemy can hurt you rather than just like marching down. I know that's not very 40k friendly of have a space marine moving tactically rather than marching at his enemy.
Sometimes it describes them as moving tactically. Other times it's like, and then they waded into combat.
Like, why would you do this?
I don't understand. Why is this so inconsistent? Because it's 40k.
Yeah.
So the rending, like we were talking about, very straightforward.
Armor save modifiers.
It's just like a -1, which means your 3-up goes to a 4-up.
Yeah.
Really easy, straightforward to use. It's great. I think it's a great addition.
Now the next change,
damage.
Yeah. This is the thing I'm most excited for, and
will be
game changing. This is my 100% probability.
Yes, this is good. We're gonna see who's right.
Yeah,
neither
of us right. GW doesn't listen to anyone. The things will do more than 1 wound. You can see this in Age of Sigmar, where per hit things do more wound.
Might do 2 wounds, or like D3 wounds.
Yeah, so I think this will make the game much more balanced. It'll make playing guardsmen actually feel okay, like guardsmen, not like wyvern spam guardsmen or something like that.
Real guardsmen.
That
have weapons teams with las cannons.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a las cannon is a perfect example.
Right.
Why does a las cannon have the same wounding potential to a riptide as a las gun?
Yeah, exactly.
At most, they can do 1 wound.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes so much more sense if the las cannon does, I don't know, D3 or
D3
2 maybe?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. Very simple.
Yeah.
It's in Age of Sigmar. It'd be a great thing to bring over.
Yeah.
It would help rein in monstrous creatures a lot.
And
sort of bring them to more parity with vehicles.
Right.
Not quite as... They need to do something about vehicles, but that's a whole other...
That's a whole other monster. So multiple wounds is pretty exciting.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Yeah, now the actual part that has changed the most from 40k, the combat phase.
Oh yeah, big departure for sure.
Yeah. It's pretty different. Kind of interesting. I think it fits well with what they're trying to do in Shadow War Armageddon. So everyone still has an attack characteristic, and that's how many dice you roll.
Mm-hmm.
So like same thing there.
And everyone swings at the same time.
That's exactly. There's no initiative or anything like that. So you both roll your dice, and you pick your highest dice that you roll. So you have 3 attacks. You have 1. I would pick the highest out of my 3. And then there's modifiers that you add to your highest dice. Things like, did you charge? You get a +1. Or you on the higher ground? That one's my favorite. You get a +1 for that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a higher weapon skill?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there like more than one of your guys in combat? There's a lot of them.
Yeah, and that basically, whoever has the highest result,
they like win that combat and they hit.
They score the hit.
Yeah.
And then you go on to like wounds. It's the same way as shooting wounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I don't see this making its way to 40K.
It's definitely too cumbersome for really any like amount of models more than sort of like
3.
the like 5 to 10.
Yeah.
It's sort of in a little bit more for bigger armies.
But yeah, definitely not making it into 40K. But it is interesting for Shadow War Armageddon. It is cool.
Mm-hmm. It seems like
it makes it more like dynamic and dramatic,
like individual duels as opposed to like this squad and this squad are brawling.
Yeah, exactly. The cool thing about and what I could see moving into 40K is that your strength actually affects your opponent's armor.
Yes.
So the stronger you are, the more, like, say if you're strength 6, you get like they get a -1 to their armor save.
Mm-hmm.
And different weapons still.
Yeah, they'll still have a Rend built in, but like just you get it by default, sort of like Smash with monsters creatures.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what's changed with the
that's post combat. A few other things.
Mm-hmm.
Ammunition is in the game. It's if you shoot and you roll it to hit of a 6, so you hit, but then there's a chance that either the gun jams or you run out of bullets or whatever, and that's based on a 2d6 roll. You're looking for higher than a stat that they included. I think it's called the ammo stat.
Yeah.
For like your sort of regular like bolters.
Like
it's
5,
it's like a 5 or higher, so like you'll get that a lot. But for like melt-a-guns or for like heavier weaponry, it's a little bit higher. So like it's a bigger. You aren't able to shoot those quite as much.
Yeah, so you roll 2d6. If you get higher, it's fine. If you roll lower, it's done.
Yeah,
and there's modifiers based on the equipment you can buy and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can buy like another clip, and you could just ignore it if it does it. But I mean, it costs points like everything. I don't see that one making it into 40K. It's a little cumbersome.
All right. This is where we can both agree. This is our prediction. 100% chance it's not going to make it into 40K.
That's not going to 40K.
That would make the game ridiculous.
Hey, they need to find a way to rein in shooting.
That's I guess so. I guess
that's how they're going to nerf.
Having your gun malfunction every...
It's like, you just don't get to shoot now. I hope you brought a bayonet.
Guardsmen are basically already like Civil War soldiers.
Yeah.
Might as well have their guns jammed.
March forward. All right, your gun doesn't work anymore. And charge.
Exactly.
All right. Other than that, there is every gun shoots once, unless it has the sustained fire special rule.
It's pretty cool.
In which case, it'll be sustained fire like 1 or 2. I didn't see any 3, but you get to roll that many D3s. You can choose to roll that many D3s because, like we said, you can run out of ammo, and you can run out of ammo in the middle of your like automatic shooting. You do them 1 by 1. So you roll D3s, you get that many shots effectively, and that's a good way to do it at this level. It sort of keeps shooting like. It keeps the volley fire down a little bit with the regular guns, I think.
And you can shoot at multiple different people with the same gun and the same machine attack.
If you have if you have sustained fire, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. That was one of the things I didn't like about Kill Team was that if you had an assault cannon, you could only blow up like one guy. Yeah,
one guy.
Now with an assault cannon, you can just like mow down some guys, like pouring shots at different people, and you go 1 by 1, so you can choose which shot goes into each person. It's pretty nice, but each shot could jam the gun, and that's it. So
other than that, there's invulns, which are just armor saves that can't be rendered down.
So
like if you have a 5 of invuln, the worst you're ever going to be rolling for your save is a 5
up. So it's pretty good.
Cool.
It changes the way invulns work, and I think it'll make them more effective. More important.
I would agree. Because you can knock it down further.
Exactly.
Like it's easier to get it to like a 5 up or whatever.
A lot of stuff rends now. So
really, especially like 4 up invulns.
Right, exactly.
Because like it'll be really easy to get armor saves below.
Especially
4,
if like you're
above 4.
And maybe not Terminators because you're almost never getting to the 5 up. But like other things like commissars that only have like a 4 up armor save, and they're almost like everything
And there are
has
5 up
rending.
invuln.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
if it would reduce him to a 6 up armor,
Yeah.
okay, well I get my invuln now.
Exactly. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah. Then the so the best way to play this for sure is I think maybe play a quick scrimmage game just to get a feel for the game before you like really jump into what the best way to play the game is, which is the campaign.
Yeah. So like go to your local game store, getting a group of people together, or just like play with your friends.
But an extended campaign seems to be the best way to play this game for sure.
In the base rules, there's only 3 factions covered. You got Space Marine Scouts, you got the Guard, and you got the Orcs. And then there is a multitude of sub-factions. And the sub-factions kind of like change the way you play the campaign. Because like if you're going with Steel Legion, you have different access to skill trees, which we'll get to
they'll get kitted out different. Guardsmen, it's the different regiments that we all know and love. Cadian, Steel Legion, Catechins, a bunch of others.
But don't be sad if your faction is not if you're not playing Orcs, Guard, or Space Marine Scouts.
There's still enough variety.
Because they are releasing...
Yeah, they will be releasing... there's no sub-factions for any of them. But they will be releasing online whenever it does drop free rules for all the factions that are not in the core book.
We actually got to look at them.
Yeah,
you can just like rattle off.
Cool.
So yeah, like for like Eldar, you play as like a Dire Avenger or a Guardian. It's pretty cool. You can build a list out of them. Harlequins, you're just a Harlequin troop.
Tau is mostly Pathfinders. You can get sort of a few other things, but it's all about Pathfinders for Tau.
Like Chaos, you have Cultists or Chaos Space
and then
Marine.
also Space Marines. There's also Necrons, Tyranids, Genestealer Cult.
There's definitely more that we're missing.
Yeah, there's several more. There's not a lot. I don't think anyone got left out.
Yeah.
Dark Eldar.
Yeah, Dark Eldar. Yeah.
Admech. Skitari.
Yeah,
Skitari is one of them. Yeah, it's so your favorite faction is probably there.
Yeah.
Your Death Watch isn't exactly there.
Yeah,
but
I mean you can take Death Watch.
You can.
One Death
there
Watch
are specialists.
Yeah. Special operatives.
Special operatives. Yes.
And that's only in the campaign though, because you have to get resources to spend on them.
Yeah. You could do it in like a pickup game where you're like, all right, I'll take one and you take one, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
But so the campaign. The missions in the campaign, they're all very narrative.
Yeah, very narrative. They all have mechanics. Like the one that we took a look at was like a stealth mission, and the one person like just moves around kind of randomly. They can only move like up to D6.
Like one team. Yeah. Some of their guys are on sentry duty, and they can sort of patrol around. Yeah. And the entire enemy team is in stealth.
Right. And if you roll like a 1, a cool mechanic is your opponent gets to move your guys if you're the sentry player.
So like the sentries will be slowly making their way towards the opponent.
Right.
But then the opponent's sort of getting out of the way, and maybe you below a 1 now, so now you walked over here, and now I can get my guys over.
There's like a basic fog of war mechanic where like your initiative
is how close you have to, is how many inches away you have to get
to spot someone who's hiding. So like initiative 4, it's 8 inches away. You have to be 8 inches before you can actually see an enemy.
Yeah.
So all of the missions seem like awesome.
Yeah.
In terms
They'll have
of
really
like,
cool.
Exactly. Especially in like the small combat base, you want a mission type where like everyone does something cool. There's also ones that were like you have to destroy terrain. Like a guy has to plant a grenade, and you got to get out of there and like blow up.
Yeah, and there is just like a straight up fight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's all different kinds.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by that. It's generally, I'm gonna be honest, I was expecting like another kill team.
I was too, like a little pamphlet.
Yeah, like
but
nothing.
This is like a full blown.
It is.
Like,
it's a full game.
Yeah, full game, and we're definitely.
Yeah, you can definitely. I'm gonna be playing a campaign. That's for
sure. Yeah, so the coolest thing about this is that there's progression in the campaign. If you ever play like Frostgrave or a good analogy, XCOM is a good analogy of like how you build a squad from the beginning. They're like useless guys.
Yeah,
and then you like form personal connection with your guys.
That's not just
another guardsman
sergeant. That's the guardsman sergeant. He's faced down countless horrors. Man, he's fought through so many. And man, when they die, you're
like,
this in Heralds of Ruin.
Like, all right, whatever. I just
when
gotta
any of those models die, it hurts.
Yeah,
they're your dudes.
Yeah, and you spent a lot of resources and like so basically, if you played Kill Team. There is like the skill tree system from
Heralds
Kill Team.
of Ruin Kill Team.
No, this isn't Kill Team.
Oh yeah, it's
not in Heralds of Ruin. Yeah, there's like a skill tree that you choose from. So like there's like a shooting skill tree and like a combat skill tree. There's like a There's a lot of other ones.
Yeah, the guerrilla war.
Guerrilla warfare.
All sorts of things like that.
Yeah, and these
It's
are
similar.
much better than the kill team.
Yeah, and each
skill tree.
each faction and each like trooper, leader, and specialist will have different tables they're allowed to roll
like
on.
The Steel
when
Legion,
they
or like the Steel Legion guy will have like a shooting one, while the Cadgens
have strength.
Like strength.
Yeah. And so
the
it's like a
Acadians have
little
agility.
random, so you can't really like min-max that hard.
Yeah.
But you can definitely, if you want to focus your army on shooting, you can roll all of them on shooting.
So as you go along, you advance your characters. They get skills,
and they get better and better.
Upgrades. You get like Promethean caches, which you can spend on.
And it's about like a sort of resource management thing. Right. It's really cool.
It is really awesome.
I think that's about... that's about it for Shadow War Armageddon. Looks really dope.
Pretty great release.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for 8th edition.
Yeah,
I think I'm really looking forward to the direction that GW is going.
All of these things I'm excited about. I think will only make the game better.
Oh yeah,
we'll
and
cut out a lot of the griping.
Yeah. Oh, and the other AdeptiCon, Plastic Thunderhawks.
Exactly,
they're coming. At some point.
Yeah, they eventually TM.
New Space Marine releases. Who saw that coming?
All right. So yeah, from all of us at Chaotic Stupid Gaming.
We'll see you guys next video.
Yeah. Have a good one.